welcome to our webinar today. We are absolutely so excited for all of you to join us. Our webinar today is how to retain early learning teachers and address hiring challenges. And we have an incredible lineup for today's presentation for you guys. And we're just absolutely so excited just to hear what you guys take away. And we hope that this, equips you to further go out and, just do your very best and have, an incredible rest of this year. So thank you so much for attending. My name is Brittany Hayes. I am the Director of Channel Relations here at Inspire Care 360. And before we get started, I just want to welcome everyone and ask everyone if you can drop in the chat where you're tuning in from. I'm down here in Southwest Florida. It's beautiful here today, sun shining. Finally, we got a break from the rain. Shout out in the chat where you guys are joining from. We always love to hear. Hey, Kathy oh, you're in Florida too. That's awesome. Looks like we have another Florida person, Dallas. I'm from Dallas, Abby. Welcome. Good afternoon, Jessica. Jenna, welcome from Pennsylvania. Rosie, you're another fellow Texan on. Welcome. Tanisha from Los Angeles. Welcome. Amy from Missouri. Got another Texan, Jessica, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Brenda from Chicago, welcome. Marissa from Rochester. Tony's actually up in Rochester and several of our team are up there, so welcome. Tina, you're from Rochester too. Andra, New Jersey. Welcome everybody. We love seeing everybody attending from all over. It's so cool that with technology, we're able to get together and, all be in one place and, learn together and just spend this hour together. So thank you guys so much for being on. We're so happy to have all of you guys. We're going to give it a couple more minutes before we get started and give everyone else some time to continue hopping on. As you're hopping on, if you can just continue to drop in the chat where you're from. If this is your first webinar with us, drop a 1 in the chat. If you are a veteran attendee and you've been with us several times, drop a 2. Wow, love seeing all these first timers. Welcome, welcome. We're so glad that you guys are here with us. Rosie, you've been here with us before. Welcome back. So it looks like the majority of everyone on right now, this is your first webinar with us. Thank you so much for attending. We're so excited to have you. Gwen, welcome back. Pamela, welcome back. Sharon, welcome back. We're going to give it another minute or so to let just a few more people hop on and then we'll get going. If you've just now hopped on, please share in the chat where you're tuning in from. Terry, welcome from Oklahoma. That's super close where I'm from. I'm from Texas and spent a lot of time up in Oklahoma growing up. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and move into our agenda. A couple of things I want to go over is, please feel free to utilize the chat throughout the webinar and use the Q&A section to ask your questions. We'll be sure to capture your questions and we'll do our very, very best to get to all the questions during the call. Some of them may require follow-up, but if it's a question that's more extensive, we'll definitely make sure that the right person gets in touch with you and gets your answer to you. But again, please feel free to utilize that feature. We absolutely love questions and love being able to answer as many live as we can. We'll also be sending links in the chat. So if you have more questions to learn about what is being presented on or IC360, one of our future events, you can definitely use that chat feature for that as well. And we will get that to you. This webinar is being recorded for replay and you will be sent, if you registered for the webinar, which all of you did, of course, then you'll be sent a notice of the replay as well. So you'll be able to watch this again. If there's something you missed or you want to go back and revisit, or else if there's someone you want to share it with, we always appreciate if you share it with someone else that it can be of value to. So without further ado, let's get into our housekeeping items in our agenda. So one thing we're really excited to share with all of you on here today about is we are having our first ever annual conference this November. It's Spark 2022. It's actually down here where I live in sunny Southwest Florida. Let me just tell you, it's a great place to escape to in November. The weather is 75 and beautiful and perfect. So if you needed further motivation to come, that definitely can be it. But we're going to be dropping in the chat a link to register and get your tickets for that. We do have an exclusive number of tickets for this event, and we are expected to sell out in September. So we do recommend that if you're at all interested, go ahead and take advantage of this and get your tickets. We would absolutely love to see you there. We have just a jam-packed couple days planned with, an incredible speaker lineup, just some really amazing events. It's going to be an owners conference exclusively, and so it's going to be an incredible time. We definitely welcome all of you there and look forward to seeing you. Also, we would like to share, as always, with you guys our Healthy Advantage program, which is an alternative to major medical that we're super proud of and absolutely amazing for people in the EC industry. So if you'd like more information on that, we will drop a link in the chat for that as well. And you can always reach out and we'll get you information about that. Without further ado, our presentation today is how to retain early learning teachers and address hiring challenges. I'm going to pass it over to our host, Tony D'Agostino. He is InspireCare 360's founder and CEO. And I'm absolutely so excited again for you guys to hear from him and our lineup of speakers today. Enjoy.
Thanks so much, Brittany. Really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We're really glad to have you on this wonderful day. Hopefully everything is great where you are. I know it's a busy time of year. Some of you, especially down south, have been already welcoming your fall programs back. And I know up north, we're about a week away until welcoming our fall programs back. So we do know that there is going to be a lot of attention, especially to this program here, and we're very excited for our special guests that I'll introduce in just a second. They're two very well-established individuals in their field of ECE, and we'll talk about that, but we're really happy to have you all. So again, just to reiterate what Brittany was saying, if you have a Q&A, please go to the Q&A section or your question, and we'll look to answer. And Brittany will field those throughout the call, pass them on to me, and I'll pass them on to our special guests. So speaking of special guests, we'll talk about that in a minute. Just to go through what Brittany started to talk about, Spark 2022. This is our first time conference. It is a national conference that is going to be in November. As she mentioned, the temperature is usually about 75 to 80 degrees, just beautiful time of year to be in Southwest Florida. There is a check-in coming in on this November 2nd. The event is 2 days long, November 3rd and November 4th. We have packed agendas, but highly interactive, a lot of time for breaks and networking, but it's definitely a strong event. And we are only releasing 100 tickets initially for this event because we do want to keep it as an intimate event. The theme for this event, which is really different than the majority of the marketplace, we believe is really about what this session is on today, and that is people and talent. That is that it's probably the number one thing that we all tend to struggle with. In addition to being the founder and CEO of InspireCare 360, I also have my own schools. And with having my own schools, my number one focus for my team has been the people, has been the talent, has been our culture, has been recruiting and retention. And it continues to be, whether times are good or not. We really believe the secret sauce is in the people, and that's why we are doing this event. So you'll see a lot of information. We're going to be passing in the chat right now. You should see something come across that if you want to learn more or sign up. Why you might want to attend this, again, is for owners only or executive level operators. It focuses on your staff. It focuses on how are the best means to develop your staff into leadership roles and how to optimize your back office for your staff. It is a VIP event. So what we're talking about with that, in addition to the networking, is just a top quality resort at the Westin in Cape Coral, just outside of Sanibel and Captiva. Has great food, happy hours, sunset cruises, dolphin watches. We've got the whole thing there. It's an absolutely beautiful event. And we negotiated what we believe are really reasonable prices. Typically, this hotel has rooms that are well over 400. So the price of the rooms are $264 a room. And I think we've got just a great little resort, and you are welcome to reserve some time before or after at those negotiated rates if you do want to come in and you want to spend a little bit more time. So early bird pricing for this event ends tomorrow. So the tickets will continue to sell until they sell out, but our early bird pricing is at the end of August. So whether you are a member of Inspire Care 360 or a non-member, you are invited. So don't miss out. There will be a link coming through in the chat. And so you will be able to go and learn more about that. Again, about Healthy Advantage. Healthy Advantage is a solution that we have gone to the mat for and really looked at what is something within the ECE industry that is really needed for the recruitment and retention of staff. And that is the thing, is they really don't have healthcare options. You know, major medical is something that a lot of people need. However, it's so prohibitive, from the premiums starting for a single person, almost $400, and then with high deductibles around $6,000, it becomes unbearable for an individual as well as a family. And then on top of it, the cost for you as an owner operator, for you to pay a portion of that, it's a significant cost. So what we did is we went out and decided a program that was highly affordable, highly flexible. So as the owner, your fees are very reasonable, very low for your premiums, $50 for the first 10 people, 25 after that. And the individual staff members, per paycheck, their premiums are very low, but from $1, they can choose packages that offer such things as $15 office, $15 specialist visits, and a whole bunch of other things. It is super easy to implement because part of what we do with it is we have an implementation team. They're like your own benefit administration team, and there's no extra cost for them. They help set everything up. They're the ones who do the census. They're the ones who do making sure that everybody has the right providers in your area, and making sure that people are on the right programs if they do want to be on the program, and make sure all your reporting goes to your payroll. Offering apps online with Employee Navigator that allows them to every individual see what their programs are. It is also ACA compliant, which is a huge thing. That's the expensive one, is part A. That really is the one that, you know, if you're not offering something and you creep over that 50 FTE through all or any of the locations that you may have, you really could be up for a significant federal penalty. Part B is something we all deal with, but we do need about a month and a half for decision making. So if you are interested, just reach out in the chat and say, hey, I'm interested in that. Can you guys get back to me? And we're more than happy to get back with you. But without further ado, I want to introduce our two guests today. Someone I've known now for a good while is Joann Kintzel, and she is the CEO of Procare Solutions. I know Procare very well. I use it in my schools, and I have used that now for probably over 12 years. I also like to introduce you to Corinne Muller, who is the co-founder and COO of Learning Beyond Paper. And Learning Beyond Paper has developed a relationship with Procare together, and I'm lucky to have both of these ladies and these executives here to talk not just about what they do in their organization. We'll have a little bit of that at the end, but really talking about some of the challenges. But I want to welcome you first. Corinne, Joann, how are you?
Great. Thank you so much, Tony. Great to be here. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
And likewise, I am joining from Denver, Colorado. So did not put that in the chat, but happy to see everyone.
Wonderful to have you there. And Corinne, you're down in Florida.
I'm in Florida. Yeah. So nice to hear that I've got some other like-minded Florida folks on here. So welcome, everybody.
Absolutely. And so we're really looking forward to this today. We've had a number of people respond and said, I can't wait to hear it. So I'm very excited to have you ladies on here and talking. So I'm going to sort of run the slides for you, and you guys take over from here, and we can move forward and start working towards what makes sense for our audience here. So ladies, you take it.
All right. So I'm going to kick off and just share a little bit about Procare. For those of you who maybe haven't heard of Procare, it's the most widely used childcare management solution for childcare centers, before and after school programs, what we will refer to as wraparound care, and youth organizations. And it's designed to ease the burdens of running a business. Includes coordinating staff, communicating with parents, and definitely educating the children in their care. We serve over 37,000 childcare centers, and these range from single location programs to multinational companies. Still the same demands for all of you, whether you're a single location program or multiple locations. And we've designed our product so you can manage everything in an all-in-one cloud-based integrated platform. So no need for paper, no need for additional software. Our software helps centers organize and simplify those administrative tasks, manage classrooms, engage with families, as well as keeping track of finances, billing and payments, and child and staff management, which we'll cover more today and more. So really look forward to seeing your questions as they come through the chat. And with that, I think we'll turn it over to Corinne.
Thank you. Well, hello, everybody. I did start my career out as a classroom teacher, and I started that in Chicago. I started teaching kindergarten in Chicago, and have stayed in this industry now for over 20 plus years. And I really dedicated my career to improving the ECE industry for our teachers. I really do believe that curriculum is the glue that holds your business together, because it impacts all aspects of it, right? For a teacher, curriculum is like their playbook. It has all the steps, the strategies, and plays needed to ensure that each lesson is going to be successful. So if there's no clear understanding on how to implement curriculum, or enough training provided for teachers to learn how to properly implement the curriculum, our teachers are set up for failure. And that's the last thing we want to do. And if our teachers fail, our children are at risk for not being ready for kindergarten. So the mission at Learning Beyond is to build capacity in every teacher, which will in turn provide high quality early learning opportunities for each child. For children to reach their fullest potential, they must be supported by their teachers. And those teachers have to have that skill set and those tools necessary to meet the needs of every child in their care. And that's what teachers will experience here with Learning Beyond. So the Great Resignation impact, we've been hearing all about that. I really believe, especially with all the years in this industry, that the ECE industry has been staff challenged for decades, right? But COVID really amplified that issue for us. So all of these areas that you see on the screen, they present challenges for retention rates, and they impact the climate of your business. So it is time to press the reset button, right? Let's stop doing things the same way we've done before. This is an opportunity to reset. Let's evaluate, let's assess, and let's change up the way things are being done at your center. And maybe that starts with you as the owner to take some time to reflect on your practice as a leader and how you want to run this upcoming school year with your staff. And then of course, our management team, right? They're a huge part of how we run our business. Have open dialogues on what's working well and what needs to be evaluated. And remember, our directors need their buckets filled too, right? They run around all day, putting out fires, covering classrooms, doing bus runs. How are you reaching out to them and supporting them? And then it's always key to celebrate our loyal staff members. We've had some staff members that stuck with us through these last 2 years, and we should make a big deal about their anniversaries, because that helps new staff members see how they are appreciated. And we know appreciation in this industry goes a very long way. So thank them for sticking with you throughout these years. Also families, your families love to celebrate their teachers. Let them know that there are opportunities to celebrate anniversaries, the big wins, the small wins, just having your coffee station or your donuts or your bagels in the morning from your parents, that goes such a long way for your teachers to really feel appreciated and to feel that they're in a positive, growing environment. So the childcare workforce shortage, it's a mouthful, right? There are three reasons that they've really identified as to why folks are leaving the industry. So we've got burnout, we've got work-life balance, and then different management styles. So again, I encourage you to evaluate your center to see how you can make improvements in each of these areas and start small. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just pick three in these different buckets and how you might want to improve those. So for one, if your teachers are spending hours developing lesson plans and having to gather all the materials, that's going to play into burnout, right? They're going to be too tired to then implement and work with the children throughout the day, because that's a tiring enough job as it is. You also want to look at your open and close work schedule. Is it fair to everybody? Everybody wants to open, nobody wants to close, but it's important to have those conversations with your staff to see what's going to work well so that you can help create that work-life balance for them. You can also work with your community to see if there are ways or other ways to incentivize your staff. I've heard of a couple owners that actually partnered with some of their local businesses. So one owner partnered with a local yoga studio or a local gym and was able to provide free passes for teachers to be able to go in and get some of that, much needed self-care. So look into your community. Also, I knew some centers have moved to what we call a 4-10 schedule. So teachers work 4 days a week, 10 hours a day, which sounds like a lot, but then it gives them that extra day off for their own time to work on things that they need to get done in their own life outside of the weekend. So that could be something that you could do. Again, I just encourage you to look at the schedule to see what's working and how you can work with your staff to make sure that you are giving them that work-life balance.
Hey, Corinne.
Yeah,
I just want to let you know, with my schools, I did actually implement the 4-10 a little while back with some of my leadership. And, it did actually work out for a while. The only challenge is once you do implement that, it's hard to get them back to 5.
Yeah.
So, but one of the areas that also has worked for us pretty well is we really focused on flexibility in schedules, which has been really tough. But we noticed that coming out of the pandemic, everybody started to see the quality of life when they didn't have to go into the bricks and mortar. And so we're really seeing that, with our administrative teams being super flexible wherever they can and not being too rigid whenever possible. Now we all have to stay in ratio, obviously, but it is something that flexibility, like you're talking about with the 4-10, has really provided us with some opportunity.
Yeah, again, just little things that you can start to look at to evaluate, it goes a long way. And when we talk about management styles, the biggest reason people leave is because there's some sort of breakdown in communication. So it's really important when you're in a leadership role to understand how to communicate to your staff. Everybody communicates differently. Everybody's got a different style of communication. This is a female-dominated industry, so I know, things happen to us. So it's just important to know. So for example, maybe you have a staff member that before you go into what the week's going to look like and what room they're going to cover, how was your weekend? How was this? How was that? And ease into, what their day is going to look like. And sometimes you have employees that have no desire to share anything about their personal life, and that, so you don't ask. So it's just important to really understand your staff and the best ways to communicate to them. And then another tip that I've heard is a lot of owners have actually reached out to their local communities and libraries to put together an opportunity for retired teachers to support them. So that, when you do get the call outs and you do have, short staff, that you kind of have a bank of people that you can call to hopefully come in and fill in, because a lot of times when you retire, you do get a little bored, and they've already been in the industry and they already know how things work. So it is, just another option to be able to have a Rolodex of retired teachers that you could call upon.
Sorry. Let me know if we want to go forward when we do, and I'll push this.
Yeah, you can go to the next slide.
Thank you.
Yeah. So current landscape, I know we've all seen it, we've all heard it, we're all feeling it, we're experiencing it, but I encourage you to change the narrative, right? It's all about resetting mindset and showcase the positive things your childcare center is doing. So our industry is not like corporate America. It's family oriented. It's filled with children who love their teachers, and it's a lot of fun. There's nothing better than spending the day with children. You want to share also, I think it's important as owner directors to really share how you support career advancement and professionalism, right? To help our teachers grow and succeed in this industry. So support them in finding workshops for in-service and professional development CEU opportunities. You should encourage your employees to pursue getting their CDA or going back to get their degree in early childhood education. Also, Tony, you shared earlier about the opportunities to offer healthcare packages, make it affordable enough so that they can get the healthcare and that they can take care of themselves. So, and I also think it's very important to promote within your center. That shows growth. That shows that that brand new teacher that just came in as an assistant or an aide sees an opportunity to grow. And don't be afraid to promote within thinking they're going to leave you. If they leave you to go be a director at another center, that's great. You did your job. Or if they leave you to go open their own center, you know, they're leaving you, moving on, staying in the industry for the better. So I just always encourage you to promote within, you know, when you can.
And Corinne, just to add a little color to that too, for instance, you know, Inspire Care 360, who we are, we offer $199 CDAs for the full 120-hour CDA program.
Amazing.
So with my schools and for a number of the members, what we do is we use those now where instead of the staff member buys them, we use that as a recruitment tool. So many teachers out there that are assistant teachers that want to become teachers. Now, CDAs don't work in every single state, but for the majority of the states, they absolutely do work. And what we do is we actually have them sign on that basically says that they will stay with us for a period of time, or else they have to pay us back for the training that we gave them, but was on our dime instead of on their dime. So it's worked out really well. And I wholeheartedly believe about promoting from within. Those individuals, I've even noticed with my schools, they tend to stay with us a lot longer.
Yeah.
So when they see that, they tend to become part of the fabric of your organization. So I wholly endorse that approach.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for those tips. That's great about CDA. So maybe Brittany or Sarah can share more information in the chat about that, because that's wonderful. You can go to the next slide, Tony.
Mhm.
And then I think you can click because it'll bring up pictures. I think just the way you said, there you go. There they are. There's that cute little boy. So all of this is, you know, obviously has a tremendous impact on children and on the continuity of care that we're providing. And so again, I'm going to encourage you to look at the systems you currently have in place and see where improvements are needed and what changes you can make. You know, how do you streamline the process? Or maybe you go digital with Procare and everything is there for you, easy to use. That will cut back on double data entry, all the paper and having to store all of the information. And of course, I'm going to say curriculum is going to play a big role here, right? Do you have a consistent curriculum implementation plan in place? Because you have your staff covering different age groups and different classrooms every single day. So how are they going into a brand new class and taking on that curriculum for that day so that we ensure there is consistent curriculum across all age groups and that your teachers feel confident and successful, that they understand the curriculum and it's going to be a tool for them to be successful for that day? Because then we know that's, if it's not, the behavior challenges start. And once we start having a lot of behavior challenges, that's when you've got your staff walking out the door because they don't know how to deal with it. So it's really important that they have what I call a recipe for success when they're in that classroom. And then, of course, it's always important to have a strong school to home connection with your families. It's key to keeping them engaged. So think about how can you, or how will you, or how do you share instruction day to day with your families? Is it through a parent engagement app that allows you to send home those notifications easily? Is it a digital newsletter? Is it a paper newsletter? Is it a parent board? You know, start to think of those ways and how you can improve that communication with your parents. I will say through the pandemic, parents have really become in tune with curriculum. They want to know what curriculum you're using in the event that the classroom shuts down. What are you sending home? They're really, really more in tune with curriculum and what centers are using. And we'll, you know, you'll start to see them asking those questions. And do you have digital opportunities for curriculum to be shared? I have heard that and seen that over and over throughout these past 2 years.
Hey, Corinne, I have a couple questions for you because you are the curriculum expert.
Yeah.
When it comes to curriculum and, you know, retention of teachers, sometimes we have teachers who come in, and though we may offer a curriculum that's ubiquitous through our schools, you know, they tend to go rogue a little bit and go beyond maybe the activities, maybe go beyond the themes and start doing their own curriculum. And then when we come in and we say, hey, listen, we really need to bring you back into the fold. We need you to all be on the same page, whether you're using Learning Beyond or what have you. You know, how do you look at that of trying to get all of the teachers where they see this as a huge positive instead of looking at it as suppressing their creativity? And where sometimes they'll leave because they feel like it's suppression of their creativity. But I think you and I know that getting everybody working together, all rowing down the river together, is just an amazingly, you know, positive thing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And, you know, I think for the brand new teachers, you know, those untrained teachers just coming into this industry, you know, that doesn't necessarily always, you know, play itself out. I think it's the teachers that have been in the industry a little bit longer and want the flexibility to supplement and implement and be able to kind of add, you know, their own recipe to their curriculum. And I think that that should be encouraged. But I think, you know, again, it goes back to management team and training and setting those expectations, because you do want to have, you know, that consistency across the board with curriculum to make sure that all those, you know, early learning domains and standards and milestones are being met. So I think, you know, really just having a conversation with your teachers, and, you know, maybe you have different focus groups on curriculum and ideas, or curriculum nights where y'all can talk together so that it becomes more a part of the community, and it's not more this teacher's doing that thing and this teacher's doing that thing. I think, you know, you kind of have to set those ground rules, and you know, hopefully they listen, but sometimes they don't, you know, sometimes they don't. But I think giving them a good solid framework of knowing the domains they need to reach, the objectives of the lesson is key, because then we know they're going to hit on all those standards. And if they add a little bit in of their own flair, or they want to do a little bit here, a little bit there, as long as they're hitting those standards and those indicators, that's most important.
Great, thank you.
Sure. And yep, we've got some questions. So Tony, I think you're going to ask, do you want me to ask the questions, or do you want to ask the questions?
I think you can ask the question, and then if we get them in the chat, Brittany, if you want to just pop on and maybe, you know, answer for whatever we might have come in the chat for them.
Great. So this question, I know Joann does have a response to this, and audience members, please chime in with feedback. But the first question is for Joann. So what are tips you could provide a child care center owner or director to help them staff and retain teachers?
Make sure I come off mute. The first tip that I always give is to define your organizational values. So it's something that I did. I joined Procare coming up on 6 years ago, and really needed to step back and think about, you know, organizational culture is the combination of your company values, your goals, but also the expected attitudes and daily practices that are exhibited by every member of the team. So, in other words, stepping back and how and why your child care center does what it does. When you have the engaged employees who are motivated and passionate about their work, it's really important to them that then retention improves dramatically. And it's crucial in difficult professions, especially like childcare, where if a lack of motivation and passion comes about with any of your staff members or team members, it easily leads to staff burnout. So a positive organizational culture won't just help you recruit the best employees, it'll help you keep them once you hire them. The second tip that goes with the first tip is really to have a proactive approach to recruiting. So your interview team, if it's one or many, should really use this interview process to identify candidates whose attitudes, values, and personality traits are aligned with your organizational culture. With the right interviewing techniques, it's possible to gain deeper insight into the underlying values of potential hires. Carefully evaluate the personalities during the hiring process. Are they people you want to spend time with? Do their vibes mesh with those already on your team? You know your team, and you'll know if a new team member will be disruptive or will be a positive to your organizational culture. And the fit of each person you employ is really essential to building that strong culture. So use behavioral interview questions as part of the process. It helps you learn more about how your candidates think and how they'll act in a professional setting. And my last tip is to set your team members up for success. Corinne hit on this a little bit earlier. Hiring the right person, and you go through that structured interview process, and you are confident that you have the right individual to join the team, it doesn't mean that she or he will start performing their best right away. So it's really important to have a structured onboarding process to help familiarize your new hires with your organizational culture and your working methods and your expectations. They need to come in knowing what you are going to expect out of them. I think a good 30, 60, 90 framework is good, so that they have these goals that they're striving for, and they will feel as though they're contributing and be more content in their positions. And you should always provide the team with the best resources possible to make them successful. This includes childcare apps. This includes making it easy to stay in contact with parents and staff, and keeping them all in sync and engaged at all times. Definitely, especially the younger generations aren't really interested in working on paper. They want the technology to help them to be successful. And we've touched on the digital curriculum. It gives the teachers what they need to provide high quality instruction. So no long hours preparing those lesson plans, no stress for substitute teachers that come in and they can pick up and not miss a beat. And the children, the continuity of their education is intact when you can just load the lessons and let the learning begin. So those are just a few tips that I would share as far as helping hire the right team members, but also being able to retain them.
Do you mind if I throw in a tip there, Corinne?
Sure, please
Joann?
do.
What I've noticed with my schools as well as with IC 360 too, what Joann was talking about is absolutely spot on. Setting expectations, great values, just really the cornerstones and the foundations. What we've learned also too is belonging is huge. People want to belong to something, that's why people want to belong to a fraternity or a club. Heck, they belong to gangs, right? They want to belong to something. And we oftentimes look at when they come into a school, a new teacher, or teachers who might not exactly, swim exactly with everybody else in the school. They're trying to find their spot of why they belong there at your school. And it's really important to find a way to welcome them, to have an ambassador or the like, or find a way where they fit in and they become part of your fabric. So it's super important for you to really consider, how do people feel like they belong? Because that belonging is something that keeps people there for the long term. So I think that's my one tip that I would love to answer. And I notice here that one of our people out there, Andretta, mentions mentorship programs. So she looks at how they can come in and become mentored as another tip too from our audience. And if anybody else wants to add another one in there, or if not, we'll move on to the next panelist question. Okay, I'd say we move on, and I'll let you read the next one, Corinne.
Great. What challenges or pain points does your product solve for today's child care center? So Joann, I know you hit on quite a few, but maybe there's a few more you want to add.
No, I mean, we all know how demanding of a job it is to run a child care center. It's very tough to keep up all the data on your families and staff and keep it organized. You want to make sure that invoices are sent on time, tuition is collected, you can pay the bills. It's very burdensome. So you need to keep track of staff and child attendance and make sure that you're staying in ratio, and make sure that the parents know that the children are safe, throughout the day. And you need to make sure that children in your care are receiving a high quality education, that your staff isn't getting burnt out, that you're meeting those state licensing standards. The list goes on and on. I've already mentioned, as Corinne noted, with a comprehensive childcare management software, you can automate so much of the day-to-day demands of running a successful childcare program. A couple of other things that I haven't thrown out. One thing that we developed and released quickly at the beginning of the pandemic was safer contactless check-in and check-out, enhancements to online registration forms, so it doesn't have to be paper-based, and help you grow enrollments and keep your seats filled. And from a staff perspective, it's again focusing on classroom. So we talk about back office, classroom, and families. The staff in the classroom being able to track and review all of your student activities with a click of the button, and being able to communicate with parents and being able to communicate to your staff or staff to staff, and keeping the engagement there. It really allows centers to stay connected internally and externally with families, with all of the important information, those important moments that are captured, with the children every day, and the learning milestones, which goes hand in hand with the integrated curriculum.
Awesome. I'm going to ask the last question because I think, Corinne, you might be wanting to take a stab at it. What sets your solution apart from other options in the marketplace?
Great. Well, Joann just hit on, this comprehensive child care management system. So a big part of that is having a curriculum component tied to that whole ecosystem. So, recently, Learning Beyond Paper and Procare partnered. And what that means is our curriculum is embedded into the Procare ecosystem. There's a lesson plan area that now when you click on that gives you access to over 4,000 daily activities and 5 age groups. So I like to look at it as 5 years of content in one very easy to use platform. And so your administrative staff has access to look at all the content. They have the ability to organize it and review it, make sure all the materials are needed, and then they can very easily share it with their teachers. So teachers can spend more time on reviewing the curriculum, understanding key points, getting materials that they know they need ready, and less time on trying to lesson plan and figure out what they're going to do. So this, again, this really allows us to meet our teachers where they already are. So if you are a Procare user, they're probably already on their tablets anyway, doing all their daily checklists and making sure they have their ratios, and now their curriculum is right there for them. So it makes it less fragmented, which is, one of the things I've always loved about Procare is being able to put together all of these wonderful systems and products in one easy to use ecosystem.
Yeah, and actually, we did get a question back for you, Joann. Someone was asking, and I guess it's a question I have too. Hopefully, it's not too much of a spin pitch here, but it is: can you use Apple products with Procare?
And I just lost my screen. Okay, it came back. This is the second time it happened. I hope it stays up. Glad that the question was asked. So I need to spend just a little bit of time to help with educating. Procare has been around for 30 years. And Tony, you said 12 years that you've been with Procare. So that has been the product that we have iterated and continued to build out for 30 years. In 2019, we launched an online SaaS platform, 100% SaaS, works on Apple and Macintosh computers, from back office through classroom, from the, integrated with the digital app that you find in the app stores. We also have integrated the classroom and the parent features and functionality with our Windows-based 30-year-old platform. So back office is still Windows-based or running parallels from an app if there's a center that is 100% on that platform. But all of the classroom and the parent features and functionality are the same that are provided through that all-in-one SaaS platform as well. So yes, we do. And my team can talk about all the details better than I can, but definitely support all of those.
Well, it also looks like Raina within your marketing department put a little bit in the chat for those who have some questions about it. And it looks like she also helped you answer the question too in there. So very good. All right, ladies, we're going to move beyond if that works because of learning beyond. We're moving beyond here.
Moving beyond, right? Teacher retention and hiring.
Yes.
So it is a little bit of an interesting time, right? Because we have 5 generations of teachers in the early learning workspace, really for the first time ever, which, you could look at that as a positive, or I guess you could look at that as a negative. I look at it as a positive because we can always learn from our elders, and for those teachers, again, that have stuck to this industry and are now, in their 60s, 70s, even 80-year-olds, I do know are still teaching. It's great to be able to learn from them and be able to gather that wealth of knowledge over the generations that they've been working with children. I do think that education is fluid and ever changing. And so as teachers, we should also be fluid and ever changing and open to, new ways of doing things. A lot of times the older generation, they might have their curriculum all mapped out and have had it all mapped out for generations. And, that gets to be a little bit stagnant. And I do know, some teachers that have been doing this a long time, they get a little bored teaching the same thing year after year after year. So it is nice to be able to have, something supplemental. Kind of goes back, Tony, to what we were talking about earlier. How can they continue to enhance and innovate their curriculum and keep up with the changing times of the children that they're working with, but also make sure that they're still hitting on those milestones and those learning domains to make sure we're moving that needle in terms of kindergarten readiness and success. And then, of course, for most of the workforce is our Gen X, Gen Z, and our millennials, what we call digital natives. And they are, it's interesting because we as teachers are digital natives teaching digital natives. And that's kind of an interesting combination. And if you go to the next slide, we can just talk a little bit about, what do your digital natives, how do they receive information? What are they looking for, right? So they can receive information extremely fast. They pick up that phone, they're moving and grooving right through that phone or that tablet, and that's just how their brain operates. They also prefer graphics versus text. I hate to say nobody likes to read anymore because reading is so important, but really want those graphics. Videos can take up 1,000 words, right? Pictures are worth 1,000 words. They also, we really thrive on instant gratification and frequent rewards. So think about that. It goes back to looking at your climate and your environment and your staff. What makes them tick? What excites them? What gets them going? Is it little rewards? Is it coffee in the morning? Is it donuts? Things like that. And then this is a generation that functions best when networking, being able to collaborate and work together. So you want to make sure that you bring that into your community and into your organizational values and give time for them to collaborate and network. And then of course, they're more of a parallel process when they get information, and they're multitaskers. I don't know any teacher that isn't a multitasker. You just have to be. There's so much going on in the classroom at any given time. But, again, think of these, these are just little bubbles of information on how those digital natives work, how their minds work. And again, that goes back to your interviewing and your hiring process. You want to talk up that you're a 21st century early learning provider, that you have high quality programs in place and easy to use systems. Those are things that those candidates are going to want to hear.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Corinne, too, that, from communication to sort of real-time access through, parent connections throughout the day, wanting to see photos of their kids, wanting to understand where they are in curriculum, wanting to understand just how they're engaged. There is an expectation that you don't have to even wait to the end of the day, how it used to be only like 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
Now it's like, if it's not immediate, they're really questioning, have you stepped up? There is a lot of technology out of there and it can be really confusing. But I think that the companies who are becoming more advanced, and I would put both Procare as well as Learning Beyond into that category, where you're trying to simplify the process. I definitely put Inspire Care 360 there too, to simplify it, to make it easy and very user friendly for the staff. Because one of the areas that I know that our staff get frustrated with is if you implement a complicated system and then it's up to them to try to manage through it. And then if parents have to engage with something that is complicated. So simplicity, I think, is really critical in the success of these solutions that we're all trying to bring out to the market.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And so we do have some time for some audience questions. I know, Raina, you've been great in there answering those questions. So Tony, I don't know if we had any other questions come through we might want to address.
Let me take a look. I don't know if we do.
I think Rena took care of it, so great.
Yeah, Rena's been taking care of some of the back challenges. Would love to ask our audience out there, if you do have questions about recruitment and retention, obviously we would direct you, and we've already put in links for both Learning Beyond and Procare, where you can definitely get questions. And we would encourage you that if you have any questions about the solutions, but if there's anything too that you're really struggling with out there today when it comes to the retention of staff and you're really trying to figure that out, would love to hear from you and want to know what makes the most amount of sense. So we don't have any additional questions right now, but maybe we'll just continue to push forward here just to completion.
Okay, great. So, we touched upon this, throughout the webinar, just the importance of a strong curriculum. I started off saying that curriculum truly is the glue that holds your business together, and several reasons why I feel that way. So I encourage you to, reflect. For those of you that haven't started your school year yet, or just started the school year, take some time to reflect. And part of that reflection is curriculum. Is it working for all of your staff? I touched upon having to cover different classrooms and how that impacts teachers' days and that continuity of care. Right. And then, to Joann, to your point, you want to make sure that these programs or these different systems you're bringing into your center, do they go with your philosophy? Are they a part of your mission? Are they a part of your vision? And that goes into hiring, right? Is this person, everybody's trainable and moldable. Sometimes personalities are a little hard to change. So you really kind of want to look at that and make sure you're bringing somebody into your environment that's going to be a plus, right? And then not just a warm body, I just need a warm body. I know it's easy to get into that mindset, but try your best, to think a little bit further than just a warm body in the classroom for today. And then we know curriculum should support the development of our teachers. And then, of course, when we support the development with our teachers, that can trickle down into our children, and we can give them that high quality curriculum and get them kindergarten ready. And then intentionality. Everything that you do in your center should be intentional, but your curriculum should also be intentional. So I just encourage you to do a little self-reflect on curriculum and how it's working at your center with your teachers. And then for the next slide, Tony, if there isn't questions, and I think if you hit it one more time, it'll give a little, yeah, there you go. So Learning Beyond Paper, as I said, is now embedded into Procare's ecosystem. So there's a little screenshot of how that looks. And then I encourage you, if you'd like to learn more, I know Raina is already putting that in the chat box. But this is really going to save you time because you've got built-in content. It's really going to cut down on that, training that's needed. That's going to take a director, owner, or curriculum coordinator away to work on training with the teachers. If it's already built in and it really is kind of a turnkey solution, they can pick it up, they can go, they can learn from it, and they can be successful. And back to just easy to use, right? Consistent approach across all your centers or across all your classrooms. And then, of course, we can cover classes with ease without compromising that quality of instruction. The other nice thing about being digital is that content is available automatically. So, not being paper-based or book-based, we have the flexibility as we're working to create new content. You get opportunities to get that new content firsthand. Like I said, education is fluid, ever changing, research is changing. So you want to be able to have the most up-to-date curriculum at your fingertips. And then time saving, you are paying your teachers for their time to plan. So this is an opportunity to have a nice return on your investment. And maybe you use the money saved to put back into, pay rates. That might be an opportunity. And then at Learning Beyond, we are very, very strong on training and professional development. So we go a little bit more beyond just the curriculum. We also have a lot of professional development on best practices so that we can continue to build that capacity in our teachers and have them successful and continuing to learn so they stay in this industry. And like you, Tony, with your offer, it's the end of the month. So we have had this promotion running with Procare for the last 3 months, but believe it or not, tomorrow is August 31st. So you still have time. We are having a limited promotion where you can, if you are a Procare user, you can add Learning Beyond Paper to your subscription. The promotion right now is $50 per month. That would add to your existing subscription. And you would be locked into that $50 per month rate for the lifetime of your subscription, which is just phenomenal. After August 31st, the price will go up to $99 per month. If you're not a Procare customer, you can still take advantage of this promotion. If you just scan the QR code that's available for you right there, or if you just want to take a picture of this screenshot of this slide, you can do that as well. But that will give you the opportunity to sign up for a demo and learn a little bit more about Procare if you're not a Procare user, or if you are using Procare but you don't have the Learning Beyond curriculum added to it. you can have a really nice demo and be able to add, like I said, this is 5 curriculums in one easy to use platform. So one thing I will sign off on is, Learning Beyond was dedicated to creating affordable, high quality, equity focused curriculum solutions for all providers. So I encourage you to check it out. So thank you so much, Tony.
Great. I want to thank both Joann and Corinne for their time today. This has been a wonderful presentation. I want to remind everybody that we're at the end of our time right now, but Spark 2022 again, if you're interested, that again is in the chat. And here, similar to what Corinne was offering, there is a QR code. If you want to do a screenshot, you can see it, or you have it in the chat. But since we don't have a lot of time left, we're just going to progress. And there's also about learning more about Inspire Care 360. So for those of you who are new and are going, okay, I know I've heard of Learning Beyond, or I definitely know I've heard about Procare, but who's Inspire Care 360? Inspire Care 360 has been around now for about 8 years. And within that time frame, we've really made a big mark in the marketplace, where Learning Beyond does curriculum where the staff teach the children. Inspire Care 360 does a lot of the back office support, but what we do is really help with the onboarding of your staff. We truly help on the development, the orientation, handbooks, parent handbooks, your professional development, you having the role to be able to roll out your own curriculums and managing it all underneath the platform, HR services, building up your reputation and your brand, as well as optimizing your profitability. So if you want to learn about Inspire Care 360, please go to inspirecare360.com, and we love to help you learn more about us too. But from all of us here at Inspire Care 360, also from Learning Beyond and Procare, we'd like to thank you all very much, and thank you for joining our pop-up webinar today with these two fine ladies, and we look forward to seeing you all very soon. So thank you all very much for attending. We hope you have just a wonderful day. Take care, everybody.